German farmer woke up to find a deep set of footprints leading from the forest right up to his back door. Whoever had come to his house had not left yet. After making sure it wasn't just his family, he searched everywhere on his property, in his house, everywhere, and he could not determine who made the prints or where they went. A few weeks later, his maid abruptly quit, saying that every time she's alone in the house, she hears demonic voices in the attic. Shortly thereafter, he and his family start to hear the voices too. When no one's heard from them in a couple days, the neighbors go over to check and they find them in the barn. One by one, each of the family members made their way down to the barn where they were systematically murdered and stacked in the corner.
Bit of a small disclaimer, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, but I'm going to say it however anyway, because I'm pretty sure more than 90% of people would not be able to pronounce this. This is a story of the Hinterkaifeck murders that occurred in the evening of the 31st of March in 1922 in Munich, Germany. People murdered were the Gruber family and also inclusive as their new maid. And sadly enough, that was actually the maid's first day at work and essentially the last. The maid that worked there before the new maid started told the Gruber family that she would often hear noises in the attic and also demonic voices. So even before we get even further, I have questions. Why do you still live in this house? As soon as the maid tells me that she hears demonic voices, I am gone before sunset, my friend, before sunrise. My bags will be packed. So the fact that the family themselves would also hear the noises up in the attic and still stay in the house is absolutely insane. It is barbaric. And that is another level of bravery that far exceeds that of my own. And trust my friend, I am not ashamed. I would have gone supersonic. So the bodies of the family members were discovered on the 4th of April 1922 by a neighbor. So apparently the neighbor noticed that the mailbox was actually stacked and also noticed as well that the family didn't go to the church that Sunday. So it's quite clear that they would very often mark the register at church. Another clue was the fact that the youngest daughter didn't go to school that entire week. So the search started at the main house, which they found was locked. After that, they obviously made their way down to the barn. The bodies were actually vertically stacked in an orderly manner. So it was mother, father, daughter, and granddaughter. It was found that the victims had suffered some sort of trauma to their head. But bear with me, people, it actually gets worse. So they found a corridor that connects the barn to the main house. That's where the bodies of the maid and the 2-year-old boy were found drenching in their own blood. What's actually more disturbing than the scene of the murders was the fact that it was found that somebody continued to live in the farm days after the murders had occurred, which is nothing short of creepy, dude. To this day, they don't know who it was. They also found that the house was actually well kept, but not a single shred of physical evidence of a body. If this doesn't creep you out, clearly you are not normal. You do not live in the land of the living. In the 85 years that this story has been investigated, with zero chances of it ever being solved, there's been over 100 suspects. It's also worth mentioning that in 1999, there was a man who claimed to know who was responsible for the murder of the 6 victims. The very same man also made the very same claim in 1935, and apparently they didn't listen to what he had to say because apparently it was just a bunch of gibberish. The only problem with this claim was the fact that the person that he claimed to committed these atrocious crimes was dead by then. I'm trying to figure out actually how old was this guy in 1999 if he made these claims in 1935. He must have been a 100-year-old fossil who still had his memory intact. Kudos to you, sir. So in the year 2007, 80 years after the murder of the Gruber family and also their maid, a group of students at a police academy using modern technology that was obviously unavailable at the time and also a few modern day techniques tried their hand at solving the case. The only problem now with this one suspect is that they were dead. Deceased, my friend, 6 feet under. They couldn't divulge the person's name out of respect to the family. How's that for closure and or a happy ending? One other part that's also worth mentioning, which is completely insane, the fact that after the autopsies were done on all 6 bodies, the victims' heads were then sent to a clairvoyant in a desperate attempt to find out who actually caused the murders. What's worse than that is the fact that their heads were sliced off. Why were their heads cut off? Like, that's very odd. Could you not send their entire body and not cut off their head? So sadly, all 6 victims were buried without their heads intact. There was actually a documentary movie that was released in the year 1982 based off of the Hinterkaifeck murders. But I'd highly recommend that you guys actually just check out the movie that was released in 2009. It's actually worth adding to your vintage horror movie collection. Through that oak, or that thing, if it's even human, looks like a death dealer, my friend. It looks like he's exhausted from essentially conducting a human sacrifice ritual in the deepest depths of the English castle, dude. Spatula in its hand is probably what it uses to travel between this world and hell. It's actually quite strange to see that, considering the fact that the royal family is essentially the head of the English church since the early 16th century. That is over 300 years of history, my friend. And so having seen a death dealer lookalike inside the royal house looks a bit sus to me, dude. I may be wrong, but who knows, right? This is probably why Meghan Markle was like, not my son, my friend. I am leaving you, Harry, and if you do not come with me, my friend, you can stay right here with your death dealer and your death dealer ritual. So yeah, dude, that's a bit hectic. I don't know if you guys actually noticed, but as it was passing, it literally turned its head or tilted its head for a split second to probably look at its new master or its new pawn. Who the hell knows? Maybe this next story will better connect the dots and make us better understand exactly what's happening here.
It is well known that Diana, Princess of Wales, tragically died in a car accident on the 31st of August 1997. However, by strange coincidence, before her, several other recent British royals had died tragically during the last week of August. Prince George, Duke of Kent, brother of King George VI, died at the age of 39 when a military plane taking him to Iceland crashed. Prince William of Gloucester, a first cousin of Queen Elizabeth II, was killed in an airplane accident at an airshow, aged 31 years old. Lord Mountbatten, Prince Philip's uncle, and 3 members of his holiday party die after the Irish Republican Army blew up his boat. Diana, Princess of Wales, was killed in a car accident in Paris, age only 36.
The so-called Windsor curse could be real, could be fake. I honestly don't know what to think. But because I'm a conspiracy theorist, I believe it. I do not believe in certain coincidences. The fact that each and every one of them died in August is, for me, extremely strange. It should be for you as well, but if it isn't, that's okay too. But I still question that entire cycle. One other thing that I also noticed as well, I don't know if you guys actually noticed this, the majority of the monarchs mentioned in the video were in their 30s. So whether it's a coincidence or essentially dubbed as the Windsor curse, I will leave that up to you guys to decide, and yeah, let me know.
Oh, this is disgusting.
The dictionary defines a fallen angel as an angel who rebelled against God and was cast out of heaven. The following disturbing video is from Iran and was recorded close to the historic Euphrates River. The person noticed a weird hole in the ground, and what happened next was absolutely chilling. Moans, screams, and the rattling of chains can be clearly heard, coming from the hole. The cameraman claims that these sounds can only be made by some kind of fallen angel. Whatever it is, If it is a creature or a fallen angel, the sounds are absolutely terrifying. What is your explanation for this video?
Man, before we even go further, before I even get ahead of myself, right? I have so much to say. I have so many questions. Who said this is a fallen angel? Who told him that? Does he have God on speed dial? Does he have Michael the Archangel or any one of them on speed dial? How does he know this? First and foremost, right? As soon as I hear what sounds like a 3D voice or a creature or a sound I've never heard of in my entire life, my friend, trust me and believe you me, I am God. I will become essentially the second Usain Bolt. The fact that those men are still there trying to figure out what the hell that is extremely scary. I mean, listen, dude, I am not suicidal at all. I love breathing. I want to stay alive. I would never peek or put my hand down there at all. The fact that you also heard chains after that moan, for me, that is proof enough that I do not belong there. I am definitely behind enemy lines. I am gone. I am one of the most curious people that you will ever find. I do not support nor do I condone suicide. Especially not for myself, my friend. Why would you do that to yourself, bro? You're still standing there and you're still listening? As soon as I hear the sounds, even before the chains, I am gone, my friend. There's very few brave men and women out there. I've been honored enough to know some of them. I, my friend, am proudly not one of them because I value life, especially my own. I can tell you that. So even if it was a fallen angel, banished from the heaven, what are we still doing there trying to see it? Are we trying to see the fallen angel? Did you know what that thing will do to you, my friend? There's a reason why it is called a fallen angel. You can stick around, try to see or peek, put your hand in there, and I will see you in the next lifetime.
Game over.